Welcome back, guys, and today we are going to learn C# basics. So we are done the installation of our IDE, that is Visual Studio Community 2022. So if you don't have the video, you can just go back and watch. So we will just start with launching our Microsoft Visual Studio 2022 Community Edition. So we'll create our new project. So we'll just create new. Then at the top here, type in console. So we'll have console app here. So we are using SP.NET Core, so we'll be using this one. But if you are running on .NET Framework, so we have a version down below. So we'll use this, then click next. Then we need to give our project name. So this is learning basics. So then select the folder where you want the project to be saved. Then click next. Then select the framework where the project will be running on. So mine is .NET 6. Then click create new. So it will actually create our project. So we'll just wait. So guys, kindly remember to subscribe. So it has already created our project. So it has one file, that is program.cs file, and it has some lines of code inside. So if we just click run, it will actually output hello world word. So you can see we have an output here, hello world. So to output values or print text in C#, we use a WriteLine method. So this is the WriteLine method that we are using. So you can add as many WriteLine methods as you want. So if we just copy in these ones and paste it down here, we can actually change the naming. That is macro code, macro code. So if we just execute our project again, then we can see we have many lines of code here. So we have the outputs, macro code, a macro code. So we can also output numbers and perform some arithmetic calculations. So we have a console, then WriteLine, so you are not reading. Then inside the WriteLine method, we just give in a numbers 9 plus 5. So the output will actually give us the sum of these two numbers. So we can actually do away with this code. So if we execute, it will give us 14. That is 9 plus 5. So that is how you output. So what is the difference between a WriteLine and a write? So let's just provide some text here. Macro code. So then we have another line here. We call it line 2. So if we run this code, what I want you to see is the macro code will be written as a single line, then line 2 will be written as a single line. But if we change this to write line, to write, not write line, sorry, to write, then what will happen, these two lines will give us a single output. So you can see it has actually concatenated these two lines to macro code, then line 2. So we use WriteLine to give us, to insert a new line. So the new line, we want it because of a readability. So if we just execute it again, you can see that is the difference. So we add an extra space when needed, that is using now a WriteLine for better readability. So then what I'll also show you is how to comment. Comments can be used in C# to actually make code readable and for more explanations. So for single line of comments, so we use single line comments in C#. So you type that, then you can say this is my comment. So this is how you actually provide comments on the code. This is my first comment. So you can see this is how you write comments. So this is a write single line comments. So they start with 2 forward slashes, then in front of it you provide your comment. So in case you want to write multi-line comments, so these are single line, so our comment is just a single line of comments. But in case we want multiple lines, you can even imagine if we will be doing these per line. But if we need to type in more comments, what we need to do is just, sorry, let me just do this. So I need this, then you do this star, then you close it. So that is how you provide multiple lines. This is my new line. So you can actually, all the text that will be inside here will be the comments. So this up to here is treated as a comment. So this is how you write multi-line comments. This is actually a comment block. So you have a comment in a block. So it is up to you to choose which you want to use. Normally we use single line comments for short comments, and multi-line for long comments. So another very important thing that we are going to look at today is the variables. So what are variables? Variables are containers for storing data values. So in C# there are different types of variables, so that are defined with different keywords. So we have int, which is a type of variable. We have a double that is used to store decimals. This one is used to store integers. We have a char, which is used to store single characters. Then we have a string that is used to store text. Then we have a bool that is used to store values with two states, that is true or false. So declaring or creating variables, to create a variable you must specify the type and assign it to a value. So if you want to create a variable that stores a text, we will define the type of the variable, which is string. So you can see we have our string. I told you the string, a type of a variable, is used to store text. So string values are surrounded by double quotes. So you define the variable type, then you provide the name of the variable. You can say first name. So this is the name of the variable. Then you assign. So we use equals to assign values to variables. Then strings are usually surrounded by double quotes. So to assign a value to the first name, so that is macro. Sorry. So here we have macro. Then you have that. So this is how we have assigned a first name. Its value will be macro. So this is being used here. So we have this being highlighted because this value has not been used. So to output this first name, we'll just write console, then you tap, it will actually give you .writeLine, then first name. So if we run our code, then we will have macro as the output. Can also do another line of code that is last name, then you assign it a value, double quotes, then code. So then we close this. So if you want to have this, so we can do another one, which is string, then full name, then which is equal to a first name, then plus last name. So this one will give us now our full name. So then at the output, we will want our full name as the output. So this is how you assign variables and provide outputs. So if we run this, so we'll have macro code. So it will actually give us the first name and the middle name. So to create a variable that stores a number, then we can do that. So we define the variable type, which is integer. Say this is my number. Then we assign it to value 5. Then we can actually output that. So we can do away with this. So this is our variable, which is of type integer with the value 5. So if we run our code, then it will output 5. So if we want to also define another variable, integer, my number 2, then with 6. So if we want to do summation of this, then I can say int, then sum is equals to my number 1 plus my number 2. Then my output will be the sum of these two numbers. So if I run my code, I can be able to see 11. So it has actually added 5 plus 6. So that is how you output values. So note that if you assign a new value to an existing variable, then it will actually override the previous value. So for example, if I just do this, without defining, I use my number 1 here, then I assign it to value 6, then I need to output my number. So you can see at my first time, I had assigned my number to value 5, then I provide it again with value 6. So what it will happen, it will overwrite number 5, then my new value will be number 6. So if I run this, then you can see it is number 6. So to prevent this, we usually define this with constant keyword. So if you don't want others or yourself to overwrite existing values from your variables, then you can add constant keyword in front of the variable type. So here we just add constant, then my number, sorry, just in front of these before int, then you define constant. So if you do that, then you can see you cannot assign another value. So that one will be a constant value. Constant value doesn't change. It is actually unchangeable, and you can only read it. So you can see that is a 5. So the constant keywords are usually useful when you want a variable to always store the same value so that others won't mess up with your code. So another thing that we might want to know is we have been defining variables assuming you want to define more variables with of same integer 2 than 3. So this one is number 6, this one is number 7. So you can see instead of doing this, defining multiple or declaring multiple variables, more than one, then with the same type. So instead of writing all these lines, so what you can do to ease your coding, you can actually separate these with commas. So you can do this, then you copy this, just paste there, then sorry, you copy this again with equals. Remember, you must assign a value to a variable. Then we delete these ones, we remain with the first one. So you can see I've done assigning. Instead of defining the type multiple times, you just have only one type, then you separate with commas. This can only be done if if the variables are of the same type. Then you can also assign the same value to multiple variables in one line. So for example, I'm defining an int, then x, y, then z. So those are my variable names. So if I want to assign values, I can say x is equals to y is equals to z, and all of these have the same value, so I can give it 50. So I've assigned multiple variables in a single line with the same value. So I have x, y, z, then all of these as values. Their values are actually 50. So that is how you assign it. So our next thing to learn is in C# is what we call identifiers. So all variables must be identified with unique names. So these unique names are what we usually call now identifiers. So identifiers can be short names like x, what you have just seen, sorry, like x, these ones, int x, so int y, int. So that these unique names are what we call identifiers, and identifiers actually can be short names like x, y, and z. So you can also provide some more descriptive names like age, sum, and even city. So these are actually more descriptive. It is usually recommended to use descriptive names in order to create understandable and maintainable code. So you don't use words that somebody else cannot actually get it. So for example, int can say int, then minutes per hour is actually 60. Sorry, it's actually 60. So when we were defining variables, we said this is the variable type, then this is the name. So this name is what we are calling identifiers. These are the unique names. So variables must be identified with unique names. So the value here is 60, sorry. So this is how you define variables. So you must always have very descriptive identifiers. Instead of having int, then m, then you say is equals to 60. So this one cannot be well interpreted. So usually avoid using such words. So there are actually general rules when naming variables. One, names cannot contain letters, digits, and the underscore characters. Don't usually provide variables with underscores or characters, single characters like this one. It is not advisable. Names must begin with a letter. Don't always begin your variable names with integers. So like 90 minutes per 60 minutes per hour, something like that. So this is discouraged. So you should not have this. Then we have another point, which is name should start with a lower letter and it can not contain a white space. So don't usually start with lower letters or lowercase. And names are case sensitive. That is, variables are usually case sensitive, and it must be unique. So that is it for identifiers. That is the variables, comments, and writing our first line of code. So our next section is to actually go deeper and understand what we usually call data types. So in the variables, we learned that a variable in C# must have a specific data type. So data type specifies the size and the type of variable values. So it is important for you to use the correct data type for the corresponding variable. So remember, these ones defines the size and the type of variable. And as we had indicated, these data types are actually the integers, Boolean strings. These are used to store different types of values. So you must define your variable with the correct data type. So another point that we might need to learn is what we call typecasting. Typecasting is when you assign a value of one data type to another type. For example, we can have int my age equals to 20. Then you have double, which is, these are actually data types, guys, integers and double. So you can actually research more about data types in C#. So then remember, this one is a variable and this is a value assigned to it, and this variable name is what we are calling identifier. So double, then my double age, then I call it my int. So this one my age. So this is what we are calling typecasting. Typecasting, as there are different types of typecasting. So typecasting is when you assign a value of one data type. Remember, this is an integer and this is my age, but the value is 20. So I'm assigning the value of one data type to another data type. So data type here is a double, and this is my variable, but assigning the value of my age. So there are two types of typecasting in C#. One is implicit casting, which is automatically. This is converting a smaller type to a larger type size. That is implicit casting. So you convert automatically a smaller type to a larger type. Then we have explicit casting. That is done manually, converting a larger type to a small type. So what we have done here is actually what we call implicit. Is done automatically when passing a smaller size type to a larger size type. So to output this, we can do console.writeLine. Then we can have my int, my age. Then I just want that. Then console. Then my double age. So if we run our application, you can see we have my age and my double age. That is there. Then explicit casting must be done manually by placing the type in parentheses in front of the values. So this is what you have done here. Let me put a comment. This is what we call implicit casting. So for explicit casting, let me put in a comment. Explicit casting, as I had indicated, explicit casting. Should be that way, yes. So explicit casting must be done manually. So let's define our data type here, double type. Then my age is equals to 20.5. Remember, this is a decimal. And you can see, guys, variables are case sensitive and you cannot reuse them. You can see I defined these, so I can say my age 1, then I define another one int, my age 2 will be, so I'll do this int and convert this one to integer. So it will actually cast my decimal into integer. So if I do here and just do console.writeLine my age 2, then console.writeLine my age 1. So if I run this, let me just comment this one so that you're able to see clearly what is happening. So if we run the application, you can see it is taking my age one is actually a decimal, so it is 25.5. Then if I want to convert that into integer, that is my age 2, it will give me 20. So there are always type conversion methods that you can actually use. It is also possible to convert data types explicitly by using built-in methods. So there are some built-in methods that are available in C#, and some of them is one, you can actually use convert. You can see convert to integer. You can see here, you can convert these to integer. That is my age 2, which was a decimal. You can also use convert to double. You can use convert. So if you just type in convert, then dot, it has different option. Then to double is actually to decimal, to double. So we have different methods of that is built in, that is used to do type conversion to double. So this one, so you can always do that. So you will actually use convert dot method name, then you supply the value, then it will do the conversion. So there are a lot of methods that can be used, so you can research on that. So we have to double, we have another one, convert to string. If you want to convert an integer to string, you can do that, and it will actually convert. Then we have convert to int. You can convert to integer. I think we have done that. So there are a lot of methods that you can be able to do that. So sometimes you actually need to do conversion when a situation forces, so you must always understand that. So another thing is we need to know how to now get user inputs for us to output the value. So we have already learned console.writeLine, which is used to output values. Then we have double quotes macro code. So this is used to output values. So assuming a user wants to input some line, then get output. So we usually use console.readLine. So it will actually read user input, and you can use it to manipulate. So to start with, let's just type in here to get the user, enter your first name, then when this will ask the user to enter the first name, so if he enters, we must be able to read it. So string first name should be equal to console.readLine. So this one will get the user input from the keyboard and store it in this variable. So it will store it. So the value that will be keyed in on the keyboard will be assigned to this variable of first name. Then what we need to do is we need to output the name keyed in by the user. So we'll output right line. Then we can say my name is, then we need to now get the value of our variable, which is first name, that was keyed in by the user. So if we just run this, you see it actually asks us what is your first name. So you just key macro code, then you press enter. So if we press enter, you can see my it has given us my name is macro code. We need to put in some spacing. So if we just tap, it will separate. So macro code. So I can press enter. You can see my name is a macro code. So it has taken the user input and given us the output. So that is how you do that. Assuming we want to do the integers, so enter your age. So this will define here age. Then this one we are expecting user to give us an int. So age. Then we read the line. So console.read line. This one will be string. Let's do that. So it doesn't allow read line. So it is saying release the next line of character from standard input string. So it doesn't. This one will give us a string. You can see it cannot implicitly convert type string to int. So what we need to do, if we want to do integer, then we need to use the methods that I had showed you guys. So we'll just do convert. We need to convert the input to integer. So then we take the all of the input provided, then we convert it to integer. So we are using the convert to int. Then we now read our age. So my age is, then we get the input. So if we just run this, it will ask us enter your age 20, then press enter. Then you can see my age is 20. So it has actually done that. So for today, guys, we'll be leaving it at that point. Keep in touch for more series, and see you in our next video. Please remember to subscribe and provide comments down below. In case I made mistakes, feel free to correct me, and anything you feel I did not do well, comment down below, then we will mention on our next video. Thank you and bye.